Hari Hari. So we're on day 6 of our Gita Jayanti, 18 days of Gita Jayanti, nearing Christmas as well. So, 6th chapter. Krishna left off in the 5th chapter. Krishna is describing the Karma Yogi, right? Particularly the Nishkama Karma Yogi, this the highest level of maturity in Karma Yogi, where the Karma Yogi is fully connected with the Supreme, has no attachment to neither the fruits of his or her work, nor the work itself. And everything is about the satisfaction. Everything is given as an offering to the Supreme, right? Krishna is reiterating that which he said in the 3rd chapter. And then Krishna starts to describe, it's very interesting, Krishna starts to describe the qualities of this type of karma yogi. This is in the 5th chapter. And the qualities, the attributes of such a karma yogi are the exact same attributes when Krishna describes a dhyani, or someone, or the Ashtanga yogi, as we'll see in the 6th chapter. Someone who's realized Brahman. So essentially Krishna is saying that the karma yogi also realizes Brahman. When the karma yogi is in full maturity, the karma yogi also realizes Brahman, comes to the stage of Brahman realization, realizing being connected with the Supreme. But we know how Arjuna was having some difficulty, some confusion in the 3rd and in the 4th and 5th chapter. When Krishna was using terms like jnana, Krishna was using terms like sannyas, Krishna was using terms like buddhi, and Arjuna was hearing these terms, and even when we hear these terms, we equate them with, renunciation, taking sannyas, going to the forest, standing on our heads, reading Shastra 18 hours a day. Arjuna was having the same idea. Is this what you're telling me, Krishna? Krishna says, absolutely not. And then Krishna launches into the 6th chapter, because at the end of the 5th chapter, Krishna says, what you can attain all of this spiritual realization through karma yoga. You can also, achieve it through Ashtanga yoga or dhyana yoga. In fact, that is the title of the 6th chapter, dhyana. Dhyana means concentration, right? So this is now, Arjuna is going to get a complete view of what Krishna is talking about when Krishna says dhyana, or using one's consciousness, connecting one's consciousness with the Supreme. So then Krishna goes into the 6th chapter. And in the 6th chapter, Krishna describes in detail the process of Ashtanga yoga. Now, those who are interested in Ashtanga yoga, do not engage in Ashtanga yoga, do not attempt to learn about Ashtanga yoga without first studying the 6th chapter of the Bhagavad Gita. That's the authority. You go to the 6th chapter of the Bhagavad Gita and read Krishna's definition on Ashtanga yoga. That is Ashtanga yoga. Patanjali then expands on it, but when you read about it in a condensed form in the 6th chapter of the Bhagavad Gita, you will see that Ashtanga yoga is more than just asanas. That's the key. Ashtanga yoga is much more than asanas. Asanas is in fact a very small part of the Ashtanga yoga process. But Krishna in the 6th chapter is explaining dhyana yoga, Ashtanga yoga process, and which is not often the case. Krishna really gets into, at least for a period of time, he gets into the nitty-gritty of performing Ashtanga yoga. How you sit, you deer skin, you sit, you breathe the inward, the outward breath, and you stare on the tip of the nose. Krishna does get into some detail about how to engage in the practice of Ashtanga yoga. And then Krishna describes someone who then is able to connect with the Supreme through dhyana. Their concentration is fixed on the Supreme. Then Krishna says that person is the same as the karma yogi. I think it was a previous video I told the story of how I got into a bit of a discussion with a personality, a spiritualist. And I was saying how a person who is a cashier can be as spiritually mature as a person who is sitting in the river in the Himalayas. And that particular person could not disagree. That visual of a cashier being as spiritually mature as the yogi sitting in the Himalayas could not reconcile that. And this is why reading the Bhagavad Gita is so important for us yogis, our spiritualists. Because particularly in the 6th chapter, Krishna, 6th and the 5th, Krishna equates these two. The karma yogi, the highest level, the mature karma yogi, the nishkama karma yogi, is as spiritually, qualitatively the same as the Ashtanga yogi. They're both connected with the Supreme because the key word is yoga. The key word is their connection with the Supreme. The karma yogi is doing it through their activities. They're not attached to the consequences of their activities. They're not attached to the activity itself. They're completely connected with the will of the Supreme. That's Brahman realization, at the very least. The Ashtanga yogi as well. The Ashtanga yogi, by concentrating the mind, and Arjuna was very shocked to hear the process that Krishna was giving, and Arjuna said, my God, controlling the mind is so incredibly difficult. And Arjuna is saying this. If anyone has a leg up in controlling their mind, it's Arjuna. And even he says it's extraordinarily difficult. How do I do this? Krishna says it's possible. And the Ashtanga yogi, having done so, is connected with the Supreme. So Krishna is describing this process of Ashtanga yogi, connecting one's mind with the Supreme. So if you're interested in Ashtanga yoga, you have to not read, you have to study and practice Ashtanga yoga as described in the 6th chapter of the Bhagavad Gita. It will really inform, it will transform your Ashtanga yoga practice. At the end of the 6th chapter, Krishna then says, and I feel personally this is one of the more powerful verses in the 6th chapters, the penultimate verse of the 6th chapter. Krishna says, Tapasvi bhyodiko yogi jnani bhyopi matodika karmi bhyas chadiko yogi tasmad yogi bhavarjuna. Krishna says the yogi is greater than the tapasvi, greater than the jnani, greater than the karmi. Now remember, Krishna's definition of a yogi is someone who is connected with the Supreme. One can gain that connection, one can effectuate that connection through karma, through their career, through ashtanga, through the process of bodily control, prana control, mind control, and can connect with the Supreme. Sankhya, as Krishna described in the 2nd, partially the 5th chapter. Through Sankhya, one can connect with the Supreme. There's no difference, Krishna says, between Sankhya and Buddhi Yoga. The key connection, the common denominator, is yoga. All these different practices or processes, the end result is a connection with the Supreme, yoga. So then Krishna says, Tapasvi pyodiko yogi, jnani pyopi manodika, karmi pyoshadiko yogi, tasmad yogi bhavarjuna. Krishna says, the yogi, whether it's a karma yogi, an ashtanga yogi, a buddhi yogi, a sankhya yogi, a yogi, a bhakti yogi, a yogi is better than the tapasvi. A tapasvi is someone, I shouldn't say that. Many people are actually tapasvis and not yogis. Right? My wife does Bikram yoga, hot yoga. I don't know if we can say Bikram anymore. Bikram yoga. And I would go and support her and engage in it. It's very, very extraneous type of yoga. And very difficult to engage in. You're stretching, pulling, it's 120 degrees. And it's very, very difficult to perform. But it's asana. Essentially, it's a process. It's the 3rd level of the Ashtanga yoga process. Asanas. And many spiritualists engage in yoga activities. They engage in asanas, believing they are engaged in yoga. And I say this with respect, but I also say to inform that yoga is more than just asanas. If asanas, in and of themselves, if we engage in the practice of asanas solely without understanding yoga, connecting our consciousness with the Supreme, if we engage only in asanas and not understanding Ashtanga Yoga as described in the 6th chapter, then we're actually not yogis. We're actually tapasvis. Very, very important difference. A yogi is connecting their consciousness with the Supreme. And they do so in any number of ways, whether it's through their career, whether it's through intellectual endeavor, jnana yoga, karma yoga, sankhya yoga. They're connecting their consciousness with the Supreme. They're linking their consciousness with the Supreme. That's yoga. Tapasvi is when you engage in asanas like Hiranyakashipu. You engage in asanas to gain a particular siddha, a particular perfection, right? It can be good health. It can be, like in my case, wanting to be able to prevail on the soccer pitch. 45, 50 years old, running around with these 20-year-olds, getting my clock cleaned. So I go running to Bikram Yoga to get back in shape. I'm a tapasvi. I'm engaging in asanas in order to get a siddha, a siddhi, a perfection. Strength, bodily agility, so that I can go and run with the pack on Saturday afternoon, right? That's a tapasvi. A tapasvi is not a yogi. And this is clarified in the 6th chapter of the Bhagavad Gita, which is why the 6th chapter of the Bhagavad Gita is an essential chapter for those of us who may have been misled by the current yoga culture in the world, the commercialized yoga culture in the world, which is essentially tapasvi. It's all tapasya. Tapasya means engaging in strenuous activities to get a particular perfection, a particular siddha. So Krishna says in the penultimate verse of the 6th chapter, a yogi is greater than the tapasvi, greater than the jnani. A jnani is just someone who is reading the theoretical teachings of the Vedas for the sake of philosophical satisfaction rather than to connect one's consciousness with the Supreme. The jnani engages in intellectual gymnastics. The jnana yogi connects their intellect to the Supreme. That's the difference. Krishna says the yogi is greater than the tapasvi, greater than the jnani, and greater than the karmi. The karmi is someone who goes to work to enjoy the results. The karma yogi is a person who goes to work and is not attached to the results, not attached to the work either, because the karma yogi's consciousness is connected to the Supreme. So a karma yogi is a yogi. A jnana yogi is a yogi. A buddhi yogi is a yogi. A bhakti yogi is a yogi. An Ashtanga yogi is a yogi. A dhyana yogi is a yogi. They're all yogis. So Krishna is saying yogis are better than tapasvis, better than jnanis, better than karmis, because yogis attain perfection in the Supreme. They're situated in the Supreme. Their joy is awakened from within. They manifest the full spectrum of joy from within, because we are inherently ananda, anandamaya. Ananda means bliss. The soul, we are inherently blissful when we have connected with our spiritual nature. So we'll end there, and day 7 we'll go over chapter 7. We'll have an overview of chapter 7 of the Bhagavad Gita in our 18-day journey of the Bhagavad Gita. Hari Hari.